As we set up for all of the conversations at the World Economic Forum, one topic which stands out as extremely important for the world we're living in is cybersecurity. And I'm speaking at our wonderful NDTV studios in Davos with Akshay Joshi, who heads cybersecurity at the World Economic Forum. Akshay, thank you so much for your time to us here at NDTV.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let me start with the report, the Cybersecurity Outlook 2026, that has been put out. And what do you think is the biggest takeaway for you right now?
So 3 key takeaways from this year's report. One is AI is supercharging both sides of the cyber arms race, be it the defense or the offense. The second is geopolitics has today become a defining feature of cybersecurity strategies. And the third is frauds. And this is one that I feel really strongly about because frauds, cyber-enabled fraud today is affecting CEOs and households alike. If I just look at the numbers from India, very recently the numbers released by the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, it's 59,000 crores lost over the past 6 years. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Cybersecurity also has an impact on a company depending on its size. There's inequity in that sense. How could smaller companies who are maybe not MNCs or conglomerates better prepare themselves for what's coming?
I mean, you pick on such an important dimension there because cyber inequity is one of the elements that we spoke about for the first time a couple of years ago. And this is essentially the gap between the haves and the have-nots, right? So as we think about large organizations, they're getting better and better, whereas the smaller organizations are increasingly struggling a lot. If we look at cyber resilience and supply chains, right? So 65% of the organizations that we surveyed, they basically said that of large organizations, supply chains is the single largest barrier to achieving cyber resilience. Now, what does that mean? If large organizations who have the resources to invest in cybersecurity feel that way, they're very concerned about their wider supply chain, the smaller players, and that's why your question, I feel, is a very pertinent one. First of all, I think cybersecurity needs to be thought through right at the start. It's very hard to retrofit cybersecurity. So as you are thinking through new organizations or new businesses, etc., you need to think about how do you build it in by design? How do you make sure that basic cyber hygiene is in place? So, I mean, if you're thinking about it's a fluffy term, but if you break it down, for example, things like multi-factor authentication or not using passwords that have been compromised, etc., can have a big impact. Also, the need to look at risks. The risks facing any organization are rather similar. So, for example, if you rely on certain systems to ensure the continuity of your business, how many controls do you have in place? Do you have the right backups, etc., that if these systems were down, you can recover them really quickly, right? And finally, I can't emphasize the need for employees to receive training. And I feel the most effective training is when you allow employees to be more cyber secure in their lives, because then it translates into the organizational realm as well.
You spoke earlier about cybersecurity and its geopolitical ramifications, just with what we saw in Venezuela. And some of the details there are fuzzy, but it seemed to portend that there was a lot of tech involved in what America did with Maduro, etc. Just from a nation's perspective, how crucial has cybersecurity become as a defense piece?
As of today, cyber is definitely considered as the 5th dimension of defense. Per se, right? So that automatically gives you an indication that no nation can have their national security strategies that do not take cybersecurity into account. And increasingly, cyber is deeply intertwined with geopolitics, as is evidenced in our report as well. So 91% of large organizations actually mentioned that they have adapted their cyber strategies in response to geopolitical volatility. We also asked a very interesting question to all the respondents in terms of how much of confidence do you have in your nation's ability to respond to cyber incidents, like major cyber incidents per se. And it's only 31% who expressed low confidence. And this has actually gone up since last year when it was 26%, right? So you see how the threat landscape is becoming really complex. There is the spillover of geopolitics into the civilian realm, and how people are less and less confident in terms of how you can respond effectively to it.
The last piece, and you talked about AI as at the head of cybersecurity right now. Is it more of a threat, or is it an opportunity for firms, nations, individuals trying to beef up their cybersecurity?
So, AI, it's two sides of the coin, right? Now, as is the case with any new technology, the moment you introduce it into your organizational environment, obviously it brings with it a number of risks. As of today, we're talking about AI. If we go a few years down and we think about, when quantum technologies come into the mix, there are well-known cybersecurity risks that come into the mix. By the way, as per the report, 87% of people believe that cyber threats and vulnerabilities due to AI are the fastest growing cyber risk. But there is good news as well. If you went back to last year's report, when we asked people that you're quite upbeat about AI, but at the same time, do you have controls to assess the security of the AI that you're bringing? Just about 37% had any tools to assess the security. This year, that number has gone up to 64%, which means that as people are adopting AI, there is also a growing concern that we need to not do it at the expense of security. So that's really, really encouraging. At the Center for Cybersecurity at the World Economic Forum, last year we looked at, what are some of the consequent risks. This year, a big part of our work is looking at how AI can be harnessed to support cyber defenders. If you look at the numbers, there's a growing gap of cybersecurity talent. By some estimates, it's close to around 4 million globally. Now, if you're looking at such a large deficit, any help that we can get in the cybersecurity space is welcome. And AI is proving to be quite useful, for example, in areas such as phishing detection or looking at anomaly, intrusion, etc. So I think there are lots of promising use cases. I believe that as AI continues to become more and more pervasive, obviously the bad actors will be quick to capitalize on it, and therefore complex risks. But equally, the good guys will be able to harness AI and then make sure that our response is much, much better.
Okay. Thank you so much, Akshay, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.